Welcome back, everyone. So, this is the beginning series of all the series I'm going to be doing about cutting, raking, and baling hay. So, right now what I'm doing is removing what's called the top link from a tractor. It's from the 3-point hitch system. And I'm replacing it with a stiffener arm for the sycamore. The reason for this being is it's the original hardware, and it's the, I guess you could say, anti-movement. It doesn't move, unthread itself. It stays in the position where I want it and won't move up and down and unthread itself like a normal top link would. Now, with that being said, as it's being put in place here, you can see that's what this is also considered a top link. It's just a solid state top link. There's multiple words. The sycamore I'm using is called a Ford 501. It's just got a 5-foot bar on it. They come in 7-foot bars. There's multiple types of mowers you can use. There's disc mowers, hay binds, sickle mowers. I use the sycamore because they're cheap and they're relatively easy to use once you know how to use them. What I'm putting in now is called the top link pin. It's what obviously makes it stay in. Check to make sure all the safety features work, nothing's loose. Like I said, just pointed, that's the top link pin. Now, what I have in my hand now is called the PTO shaft. The PTO shaft gets connected on with a universal joint that's in my left hand up against the PTO on the tractor, which usually sticks out about 3 to 4 inches. That's what causes the sycamore to go when you activate it on the tractor. It's usually by a lever, sometimes a button. You got to make sure it's safe. Obviously, most veteran farmers know I don't have the safety features on that. Usually come with a cover that rotates, and when you touch it, it kind of stops rotating, so you don't get wound up in the PTO shaft. Yeah, so don't do that part. Always have your safety. Now, what I got in my hand are called bushings for a Cat 1 to Cat 2, or excuse me, a Cat 2 to Cat 1. And that means that I have a Category 2 tractor that I'm using on a Category 1 implement. It's not really dangerous if you know what you're doing and you have the correct bushings. Like I have in my hand, I show the camera, I'm putting them on. It's not the best view, and I'll have a lot more in-depth and high-def video. This is just the very beginning of what it looks like on the tractor. Now, with that being said, I'm putting it on. I'm making sure this is the hard part, so you're going to see me grunting a lot and moving it because you have to put them on and line them up with the lifting arms. Now, I'm going over to the right lifting arm and adjusting it to where it can fit on the pin of the implement. There's a left and right on all 3-point hitches, and I'm on the right side. So you can just see that I'm struggling with it, and I got to release the band I got so they don't slam in the tire when I'm driving with it freely. Now, this is what I'm messing with on the left side is what's called a stabilizer arm. This is a chain version. Sometimes there's a solid bar, sometimes there's some type of screw. But that's what stops it from slamming left and right and going into your tires and possibly killing you. It's also a safety feature, especially with a long bar sycamore like I'm using. And as you can see, I got to readjust it. And now I'm just about to put it on, and there. Now that it is on successfully, I've kicked it on, made sure it's all secure. I take the pin out, put it in, and now it's locked in place. And then I go ahead and make sure that's tight, and make sure that one's tight. Simply, they're just not tight enough for me, and I'm a safety freak. So, I go ahead and start the tractor up to make sure that they are, and sorry for the wobble, I've tried my best to stop it. But I'm going to go ahead and lift up. While it's lifting up, you can see that there's a lot of slack in the chain. That's a no-go. You want it to be tight so it doesn't go left or right. As you can see, rocking it, that's horribly dangerous, which is a big no-no in my book when I'm doing anything with my tractor. So I go ahead and I'm going to go look. And that's, as you can see, I said no. So that's the stabilizer arm. So you got to twist it. And as you're twisting it, it tightens the chains up to tighten them to make sure that it won't wobble left and it won't wobble right. You want it to basically be center of your main body of your tractor. And right here is perfect. It's, it's still kind of wobbling. I don't like that. So then obviously go to the right side. And then as you're tightening it, you keep adjusting. That needs to be tightened onto the lifting arm. It's an old-fashioned type of sickle mower, which I'll show you later. But for now, I'm making sure it's secure. Both pins are on, the top link's secure. The lifting arms are okay for now. The stiffeners are still going to be adjusted. This is called the riser, or leveler arm, excuse me. It's got multiple names. That basically makes the right lifting arm go up and down to even out the implement that you're using. And right now I'm making sure it's secure, make sure that the locks are in place, it won't go anywhere, and we're ready to go. Now this is what it's like up in the air. So I'm checking everything to make sure everything's tight, the pins are on, nothing's loose. I'm shaking everything, trying to make sure everything's okay. The shaft seems okay. Universal joints are all right. And then I'm going to go ahead and adjust the camera for you. Now we come to the inspection part. So right now I'm releasing the locking arm for the sickle bar mower. So this just basically locks it up in the up position so you can transport it on the road and whatnot. You never get your fingers where the teeth or the corn rows would be out. Or not corn rows, excuse me, hay rows where they would enter the teeth. So normally what I do is I'll take this off, just gently throw it over there, make sure my hands are all clear. Make sure you notice where my hands are at, my left and my right one. My top one out of view is at the very top of the guide arm for the sickle bar mower. So right now I'm going to go ahead and slowly release it down. You walk with it, you never drop it. And then once you do that, you go ahead and you inspect it. Now you can see right here that this is black substance on this bar as dry graphite lubricant. That makes it so that there's not a whole lot of friction between the teeth and the guide arms and the hold down arms and the whole 9 yards on this implement, so there's not a whole lot of friction. Now when you go over here, I'm trying to get you right in the middle. So right about here you can see that wooden bar down there is actually called a pitman arm. That's what drives the sickle bar. And as you can see, because I'm using a dry lubricant, I'm able to spin this in incredibly easy motion. I'm even using one hand. That's how you're supposed to have them if you're using this type of implement, which is called a sickle bar. I'm making sure there's no teeth that are loose, all the bolts are in place, nothing's lost, everything seems like it's going to be working all right. So then we're going to go over here to the pulley system. It's just got a 2-pulley system with a belt on it. Now, there's just 2 pulleys, like I said, one big one and one small one. The big one's connected to the PTO shaft, and the small one rotates that pitman arm up and down, which then in turn turns the blades left and right. And once everything's inspected, like I did, I lock my locking arm in place, and that's it. Once you've got done inspecting your implement, you're ready to start making some hay. Follow more and subscribe, and I'll be producing more of these throughout the week.